This is Count Dooku, a Sith Lord known for his many duels and his defeat of several different Jedi Knights and Masters. These are his B-1 battle droids, those cute little idiots that he will use to protect himself at all costs. This is John.
Hi.
He's been tested so weakly before because he has legitimately no skill when it comes to using a lightsaber. But he's on a challenge to learn all 7 lightsaber forms right now in order to have the perfect duel against Dooku himself. Will he survive? Form 1. Shii Cho. Shii Cho, also known as Form 1, is the oldest and most fundamental lightsaber combat form in Jedi history. Developed during the earliest days of lightsaber combat, it served as the foundation from which all other forms would eventually evolve. Every Jedi began their training with Shii Cho. The form focuses on broad, sweeping strikes, simple footwork, and learning the basic principles of offense and defense. Rather than emphasizing complex techniques or specialized tactics, Shii Cho teaches a Jedi how to effectively wield a lightsaber against multiple opponents while maintaining control on the battlefield. However, Shii Cho's simplicity can also be a weakness. Against highly skilled duelists who specialize in more advanced forms, its wide attacks and straightforward techniques can become predictable. Because of this, many Jedi would eventually supplement Shii Cho with other lightsaber forms as their training progressed. Despite being considered a beginner's form, Shii Cho remained a valuable part of every Jedi's education. Its lessons in balance, awareness, and fundamentals formed the bedrock of lightsaber combat for thousands of years. Without Shii Cho, none of the other lightsaber forms would even exist. It is the original form, the foundation upon every Jedi warrior built their skills. Form 2. Makashi. If Shii Cho was the foundation of lightsaber combat, then Makashi was its refinement. Known as Form 2, Makashi was developed during an era when Jedi frequently faced other lightsaber-wielding opponents. Unlike Shii Cho, which focused on broad attacks and multiple enemies, Makashi was designed specifically for a one-on-one dueling. It emphasized precision, elegance, and efficiency over raw power. Practitioners of Makashi relied on controlled movements, subtle footwork, and carefully timed strikes. Every action had a purpose. Rather than overwhelming an opponent with aggressive attacks, a Makashi duelist sought to exploit weaknesses, redirect incoming blows, and maintain complete control of the engagement. The form's graceful style often resembled traditional fencing, with duelists standing side-on to present smaller target while using precise thrusts and quick counterattacks. Because of its focus on technique, Makashi required patience, discipline, and a deep understanding of timing. One of the most famous practitioners of Makashi was the Sith Lord Count Dooku. His mastery of the form allowed him to defeat opponents who were younger, stronger, and more physically powerful. Think Anakin when he cut his arm off. Through skill alone, Dooku demonstrated the deadly effectiveness of Makashi in lightsaber combat. However, the form was not without its weaknesses. Its focus on dueling made it less effective against multiple opponents and less suited for defending against heavy blaster fire. As firearms became more common and lightsaber duels became rarer, many Jedi began favoring other forms that offered greater versatility. Yet, Makashi remained a pinnacle of lightsaber dueling. It was the art of precision over strength, intelligence over aggression, and mastery over chaos. For those who sought perfection in single combat, Form 2 was unmatched. Form 3. Soresu. As blasters became the dominant weapon throughout the galaxy, the Jedi needed a new approach to lightsaber combat. The answer was Soresu, also known as Form 3. Developed from the foundations of earlier forms, Soresu focused almost entirely on defense. Rather than seeking to overpower an opponent with aggressive attacks, practitioners of Soresu concentrated on survival, patience, and absolute control. The form taught Jedi to create an impenetrable wall of defense, using precise movements to deflect incoming attacks while minimizing wasted energy. Against blaster-wielding enemies, Soresu was incredibly effective. A skilled practitioner could redirect bolts with remarkable efficiency, protecting themselves and even nearby allies. Through tight blade movements and disciplined footwork, a Soresu user could withstand overwhelming fire from multiple opponents for extended periods of time. The form was equally powerful in lightsaber duels. Instead of rushing to defeat an opponent, a Soresu master would patiently wait for mistakes to appear. Every strike was blocked, every opening denied, until the enemy became exhausted, frustrated, or overconfident. Only then would the practitioner launch a carefully calculated counterattack. Perhaps the most famous master of Soresu was Obi-Wan Kenobi. Throughout the Clone Wars and beyond, Obi-Wan demonstrated the form's effectiveness by surviving battles against some of the galaxy's most dangerous opponents. His defensive mastery allowed him to overcome enemies who possessed greater strength, speed, or aggression. However, Soresu's defensive nature came with limitations. The form often lacked powerful offensive options, making it difficult to quickly end a fight. Victory required patience, endurance, rather than overwhelming force. For those willing to embrace its philosophy, Soresu offered unmatched protection. It transformed defense into a weapon of its own, proving that sometimes sometimes the strongest warrior is not the one who attacks first, but the one who cannot be defeated. Form 4. Ataru. If Soresu represented patience and defense, Ataru was the complete opposite. Known as Form 4, Ataru focused on speed, aggression, and constant movement. Practitioners used the force to enhance their agility, allowing them to perform acrobatic flips, rapid strikes, and powerful leaps that could overwhelm opponents before they had time to react. Unlike the defensive philosophy of Soresu, Ataru encouraged Jedi to stay on the offensive. Every movement was designed to keep pressure on the enemy, creating a relentless barrage of attacks from multiple angles. The form was particularly effective in one-on-one combat, where its speed and unpredictability could quickly turn the tide of battle. One of the most famous practitioners of Ataru was Yoda. Despite his small stature, Yoda used the form's mobility to become one of the most formidable duelists in Jedi history. His mastery demonstrated how Ataru could transform agility into a devastating weapon. However, the form's intense physical demands came with the cost. Ataru required significant stamina and space to maneuver. In confined environments or prolonged battles, its effectiveness could be reduced. Fast, aggressive, and visually spectacular, Ataru embodied the idea that speed itself could be a weapon. For Jedi who favored action over patience, Form 4 offered a path to overwhelming victory. Form 5. Djem So. While Soresu focused on enduring an attack, Form 5 was created to answer a simple question: why merely defend when you can strike back? Known as Djem So in lightsaber combat and Shin when confronting blaster-wielding opponents, Form 5 evolved from the defensive principles of Soresu. Its practitioners believed that simply surviving an attack was not enough. Instead, every block, parry, and deflection should create an opportunity to immediately counterattack. Djem So emphasized strength, power, and control. Rather than relying on elegant movements or acrobatic maneuvers, practitioners met an opponent's attacks head-on. Powerful counterstrikes were delivered with the intent of overwhelming an enemy's defenses and forcing them onto the defense. The philosophy of the form was simple: turn defense into offense. Against blaster fire, the Shin variant allowed Jedi to redirect incoming bolts back toward their attack with remarkable accuracy. This made Form 5 particularly effective on battlefields where ranged combat was common. One of the most famous users of Form 5 was Anakin Skywalker. His aggressive fighting style perfectly reflected the form's emphasis on strength and decisive action. Later, as Darth Vader, he continued to use many of Form 5's principles, relying on overwhelming power to dominate his opponents. However, Djem So was not without its weaknesses. Its focus on strength could leave practitioners vulnerable to faster or more agile opponents. The form also encouraged an aggressive mindset that sometimes conflicted with traditional Jedi ideals of restraint and patience. Even so, Form 5 became one of the most respected lightsaber disciplines in the Jedi Order. It combined the defensive foundation of Soresu with the confidence to seize control of a battle, proving that the best defense can sometimes be a devastating counterattack. Form 6. Niman. By the time Force 6 emerged, the Jedi Order had already developed a variety of specialized lightsaber disciplines. Some forms emphasized defense, others focused on speed, precision, or raw power. Niman sought to bring them all together. Known as Form 6, Niman was often called the diplomat's form because it emphasized balance over specialization. Rather than mastering a single aspect of combat, practitioners blended techniques from multiple lightsaber forms into a versatile and adaptable fighting style. The goal was not to excel in one area, but to remain effective in almost any situation. Niman's greatest strength was its flexibility. Its practitioners could transition smoothly between offensive and defensive techniques while integrating force abilities directly into combat. Many Jedi who favored diplomacy, negotiation, and problem-solving chose Niman because it allowed them to maintain proficiency with the lightsaber without dedicating their lives solely to martial training. The form encouraged creativity and personal expression. Since it borrowed elements from previous forms, no two Niman practitioners necessarily fought the same way. Some emphasized defense, while others incorporated aggressive attacks or extensive force techniques into their fighting styles. One notable user of Niman was Qui-Gon Jinn, whose calm and adaptable approach reflected many of the form's principles. Other Jedi who used Niman as a foundation for combining lightsaber combat with telekinesis, force pushes, and other abilities, creating a highly versatile style of warfare. However, Niman's balanced nature was also its greatest weakness. Because practitioners divided their focus across many disciplines, they often lacked the mastery of specialists trained in forms such as Makashi, Soresu, or Djem So. In a duel against an expert, a Niman user could find themselves outmatched in a specific area of combat. Even so, Form 6 remained one of the most popular lightsaber forms in the Jedi Order and embodied the Jedi ideal of balance, adaptability, and harmony, proving that strength does not always come from specialization, but from the ability to meet any challenge with confidence and control. Form 7. Juyo, Vaapad. Of all the lightsaber forms developed by the Jedi, none were more feared, controversial, or dangerous than Form 7. Known originally as Juyo, Form 7 abandoned the restraint and balance found in many earlier forms. It was a style of relentless aggression designed to overwhelm opponents through unpredictable attacks and constant pressure. Practitioners fought with an intensity that bordered on ferocity, chaining strikes together in a chaotic storm that could be nearly impossible to defend against. Unlike forms that emphasize patience or precision, Juyo encourages users to embrace their emotions and channel them into combat. This made the form incredibly powerful, but also incredibly risky. Many Jedi believe that Juyo brought its practitioners dangerously close to the dark side, as the line between controlled aggression and uncontrolled rage could quickly disappear. Centuries later, Jedi Master Mace Windu sought to refine the form. The result was Vaapad, a unique variation of Form 7 that transformed an opponent's darkness into a weapon against them. Rather than giving in to anger, Vaapad required its practitioners to stand at the edge of darkness without falling into it. For most Jedi, this was an impossible balance to maintain. Vaapad demanded extraordinary discipline, self-awareness, and control. A single mistake could lead a practitioner down a dangerous path. Mace Windu's mastery of Vaapad made him one of the greatest duelists in Jedi history. His ability to harness the form's intensity while remaining loyal to the light side allowed him to defeat opponents who would have overwhelmed most Jedi. However, few could safely follow the same path. The very power that made Form 7 so effective also made it one of the most dangerous disciplines ever created. Juyo and Vaapad represented the final evolution of lightsaber combat, a form that pushed warriors to their limits, testing not only their skill, but the strength of their character. In the hands of a master, it was devastating. In the wrong hands, it could become a path to destruction.
And now, it's time for a boss battle.
Fancy moves. Okay, that's enough out of you. What? Oh no! Oh no! What do you expect that to do? Oh no! Put that thing away. Yeah.
Let's finish this. I'm more than capable of defeating you. Now you'll only be dead. What are you waiting for? You could have been great. Let's finish this. You call yourself a Sith Lord. I'm more than capable of defeating you. What are you waiting for? You could have been great. Now you'll only be dead. You call yourself a Sith Lord. I'm more than capable of defeating you. You call yourself a Sith Lord. What are you waiting for? You could have been great. Now you'll only be dead. Let's finish this. You call yourself a Sith Lord. I'm more than capable of defeating you.
After spanking that idiot, I got a question for you. Are you a true Nomadian? A lot of y'all are right now. The ones that are popping up on the list right now in front of me, they're already part of the team. They've proven themselves to be the true Nomadians of the world. Are you one? Are ya? You sure you are? If you want to get added to this list of true Nomadians, all you gotta do is type right down below in the comment section, hashtag put me in the video. And then that way, I will know for a fact, and everyone else will know for a fact that you are the true Nomadians of the universe.